To add mixed numbers, if your mixed number has common denominators, and you need common denominators for both adding and subtracting fractions, you're usually pretty good to go. 5, you just add your whole numbers, 5 and the 8, total of 13 whole parts, and 3 and 4 make 7. We're working with fifths. Now, again, although this is not wrong, they really, and by they we mean anybody who is giving a quiz or a standard assessment or test, would want this changed so that you didn't have an improper fraction in your mixed number. So similar to the last video where you might have watched where we changed our improper, we're just going to focus on this just for a second all by itself. And if you had just an improper fraction, you would be asking yourself, how many times does 5 go into 7? Well, it will go in 1 whole time, and there will be 2 left over. And what we were working with fifths. All right, so there's the 1 and 2 fifths. Or, again, for this part of it, if you're having trouble understanding how we get to the mixed number, treat this like it's 7 divided by 5. 7 divided by 5. 5 goes into 7 once, and we have a remainder of 2 left over. Okay, that 2 is the part that you have left over. 1 is the 1 whole. And we keep the denominator as fifths. All right, so we have this 1 and 2 fifths that we've changed our 7 fifths into. That 1 and 2 fifths is simply going to be added on to the 13. So we'll have now a total of 14, and that 2 fifths still left there. That 1 whole, the 1 whole was added to the 13. The 2 fifths part, well, that's going to stay right there next to the 14. If they are not like denominators, then we have to do a little bit more work. We have to get common denominators. There? Okay. So let's look at one that does not have common denominators in it. So we have 9 and 1/2 plus 3 and 7/10. You're looking at the 2 and the 10, and you're trying to find a common denominator for that. In this case, 2 and 10, probably most people would think, well, I'll use 10, because that would be the lowest common multiple of 2 and 10. If you're not sure what we mean by multiples, well, we're looking for something. Multiples are as though you're counting by that number, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. With 2, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Of course, I can stop because I see that the lowest common multiple is 10. And usually you can do that visually. Most people do, but once in a while you get numbers, the denominators that you might get stuck on. And using the multiples here might help you find what their lowest common multiple would be. Don't forget also, in case of emergencies, you can always take the 2 and the 10 and multiply them together. Take the 2 denominators and multiply them together, and that would always get you a common denominator that would work for both fractions. But in this case, all I'm going to do is change one fraction, this side here, and I multiply by 5 fifths, okay, or 5 in both the numerator and denominator. My new fraction here on this side would be 9 and 5/10 plus 3 and 7/10. You can, if you like, change them both to improper fractions, but for addition, it's usually not too much trouble to just go ahead and add them as they are. Add the whole numbers first. The whole numbers are 12. 9 and 3 is 12. And then you add the numerators, 5 and the 7. That's also 12. And we're working with tenths, so that stays, tenths. Okay, so we have 12 and 12/10. Again, we should regroup with this mixed number. 10 goes into 12 once, with 2 left over. And we can then take that 1 and 2/10 and add that to the 12. Okay, so we've just changed this here. Its form looks like that. We can add that to the 12. So 12 and 1 is 13, and then we have that 2/10. Not bad. Of course, we can simplify that a little bit. 13 and 2/10 can be reduced to 1/5. You divide them both by 2. Right? 2 divided by 2 is 1, 10 divided by 2 is 5.